Welcome back everybody to Forza Horizon 5, and today we're dealing with a seasonal championship. This one is called Street Lightning. So yeah, we're in retro supercars in S1 class, and what you're seeing here is the Porsche 935 race car in fully upgraded S2 class, which you'll see in another video when we take it out racing online. So yeah, it's got well over, well, not well over, but it does have more than 1,000 horsepower, and therefore is ludicrous to drive. Really doesn't really handle at slow speeds because it's more of an aerodynamic downforce kind of vehicle in terms of handling, but yeah, it is pretty mental. So yeah, the cars we're going to be driving are a lot older and yeah, a lot slower.
You have arrived
So
at your destination.
let's see what we're going to be racing and where we're going to be racing. Nicely done, right? And yeah, we've got a nice variety of cars. So we've got the Bugatti EB110, which briefly was one of the world's fastest cars going. Then the Ferrari Enzo, which, yeah, not the fastest car in the world at that time, but still a really, really great vehicle regardless. Then we've got the Hoonigan Begriff of Porsche 911. Not a car I'm going to choose because it's not really a retro supercar as far as I'm concerned. But then we've got a couple of Jaguars. Got the XJ220S TWR, which is basically a race version of the standard XJ220, and then the Sport XGR15, which is, yeah, not as powerful as you can see, but it's got way better handling and way better brakes as well. So yeah, it's far more of a handling sporty kind of vehicle. Then we've got the two F1s, the F1 and the F1 GT, the F1 GT being the more track version of the F1. Then the Mercedes-Benz AMG CLK GTR, Mercedes-Benz first attempt at a supercar. Not their last, but certainly their first. And then we've got the Nissan R390, Porsche Carrera GT and Porsche 911 GT1 Strassen version, which is, yeah, a race car for the road basically. But yeah, the Carrera GT is pretty fantastic. Then the Celine S7, which apparently has more power than what is rated on here, but still a lot of power. And then we got the Schuppen 962 CR, and then finally the unreleased but still magnificent TVR Cerberus B12, which, yeah, monumental amount of power, and the fact it doesn't even weigh all that much as well from such a large engine with all that power as well is hilarious. So we're going to get in this one obviously, as it is the one of my favourites out of this selection. So yeah, not the best acceleration, not the best launch off the line either, but it's got really well good handling, good braking given it doesn't weigh anything as well, so naturally it's going to have good braking. But yeah, it's also got the most power here. 800 horsepower is ridiculous, and apparently they could have gotten up to 1,000 if they actually released it and developed it further. So yeah, but unfortunately even TVR thought this was too mad for the road, which is saying a lot given it is TVR. Yeah, it is ridiculous. It's got half the weight of a Bugatti Veyron and yet only has 200 horsepower less, which is ridiculous. And yeah, it's rear wheel drive only as well, so it does like to slide around a fair bit. Yeah, I love this car. I really do wish they had released it, but TVR, even though they were a profitable company for a while, even they couldn't have afforded to deal with any lawsuits that would have come about had they released this, because there's no way that most people could drive this and handle it. And no doubt someone would have crashed it at some point in a horrific manner, so you can see why they wouldn't have released it. But still, we do get it in digital form, and even in this form it is really fun to drive and marvel at that. So yeah. Whoa. The handling on this is so unpredictable, it will just suddenly want to move around and just not play ball basically. And again, you've got 800 horsepower going through those rear wheels from 25 years ago now. That's kind of to be expected. Especially in a car that weighs so little. Ridiculous how light this car is. Struggle to find a lighter car than this with this level of power. You give it a straight line and it really shifts. Here, for instance. Go, go, go. Catch up to the Mercedes. Bye-bye. Your powerful V12 cannot withstand my powerful V12. It's pretty much spinning its tyres up into 4th gear. But we get into the into first place and beat that Mercedes. Not the easiest of races, given that car is far from the easiest to drive, even with my driving aids that I have on it. But still, as you can see, I'm on 2 seconds ahead of the Merc, and a good 7 or nearly 8 seconds quicker than that Porsche 959. So yeah, that is ridiculously quick, that TVR. And yeah, it's one of my favourite vehicles going. So yeah, let's move on to the second race, wherever it may be. Where are you? There we go. So yeah, these are all street races, so they're all point to point. None of the track nonsense that we have on some of these championships, which is fine. I'm fine with the track races, to be honest, but I do prefer the point-to-points, to be honest. They're a bit more fast and furious, to put it lightly. So, yeah, we're going to get in another car now, and I think we're going to go for a Jaguar. I think we'll go for the Sport XJR15. I don't think we've used this all that much. Granted, it's got nowhere near as much power as its other Jaguar, the XJ220S, but it's slightly lighter and has way better handling and braking. Acceleration isn't as great, and neither is the top speed, but it's hardly a slow car despite that. And yeah, definitely a bit better balance as well. So yeah, this will be able to handle its power with ease, unlike the XJ220S, which, yes, it's lighter than the standard XJ220, but you know, you're dealing with nearly 700 horsepower, again going for the rear wheels, and yeah, it's not the best handling car, quite frankly. It's a little bit on the larger side. Whereas this, yeah, it's well more sorted in terms of handling and braking. Frankly, I feel like this car's a little bit on the underrated side. Probably because it didn't have the quite the same top speed as its XJ220 brother, but it's still plenty quick enough. Especially given it can use its power most of the time, unlike the XJ220, which is a lot like the TVR in terms of being quite skittish at times. Especially in these conditions. Plenty of grip on those rear wheels. Working in tandem with that rear spoiler. At the end of the day, this has the kind of engine that the XJ220 was supposed to have. When they showed the concept of that car out, it had all-wheel drive, it had a big V12 engine, but ultimately it only was rear-wheel drive and had a V6. A powerful V6, especially with the two turbochargers that it had on it, but yeah, it certainly didn't have the exotic V12 that was promised, so yeah, and this certainly does. Obviously it's not as powerful. Sounds glorious. Oh dear. Understeer there, unfortunately. Oh no, the TVR is going to beat us. The car that we won in has beaten us. Well, that's a bit of a shame. We still should have enough points to stay in first in the championship overall. So let's see. Oh, joint first, so yeah, everything to play for in the third and final race. So let's get there and see what happens. Right, so there's still everything to play for with this third and final race, as we are drawing level with first place in terms of points. So yeah, I think we're going to play it a little safe with the Carrera GT. Now granted, it's got more power than the Jaguar in the previous race, but it's also got more weight. But it does also have pretty good handling, 7.1 to 7.2, so it's only slightly worse, but it has better braking and yeah, better acceleration as well to go with that more power. So yeah, it's a fantastic car from Porsche, I find. It's probably one of my favourite non-911 vehicles they've done, and yeah, really set Porsche apart from their more other sports car rivals, as this was a proper hypercar. So let's see what it can do. 20 years on. I remember driving this a lot in Need for Speed Hot Pursuit. Again, running away from the cops. It's always fun. Yeah, that V10 is still a howler of an engine. Porsche versus Porsche, two completely different kinds though. More classic versus the more modern and diverse, but still. All the TVR with massive amounts of power is right alongside us. We will be able to be more consistent with our power than the TVR. Yeah, once that gets in a straight line, it's pretty much hard to keep at bay, but we're able to use our power more of the time, just because we're better handling and more composed. This was a more straight line heavy point to point, then we will be in trouble, but corners are our friend in this, with this Porsche, as evidenced by the fact we are going to win. So yeah, there we go. Fantastic vehicle, that car. Easily one of my favourites, like I said, non-911 vehicles from Porsche. And yeah, got us a win and got us the 20 points, putting us 15 ahead of second, with that TVR Speed 12 dropping back to fourth, which is a bit of a surprise. I thought that would have done better, but regardless, we've done well enough to get first place, and that means we get 5 points towards the overall festival playlist, which means we would be 5 points closer towards getting the Porsche 935 that we saw in the beginning of the episode. So yeah, it's well worth doing these championships. You get a decent amount of points, and yeah, it doesn't even take all that long either. So yeah, nonetheless, so thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.